Who am I? I'm Christina Isabel Burgos, born December 25th, 1990, in Long Island, New York. My mother almost died having me, and the result of my birth was that she was in a coma for over 3 months. I could have lost her, but today, she is my living miracle. When I was 2 years old, we decided to move to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to be closer to our family. That is where I spent most of my childhood. Up until I was about in 8th grade, I started visiting my family in New York. As soon as I met them and as soon as I saw the city, I fell in love. And I knew that when I was old enough, I was going to be moving to New York. While I was in high school, I was a part of every group. I was a thespian, I was the choral nerd, I was a part of almost any club that the school had to offer. I basically lived at school. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I always loved to dance. As a child, I took tap, ballet, jazz. I even started taking hip-hop classes. But when I was 16, I started ballroom dancing. From ballroom dancing, they introduced me to a non-profit organization called KP Productions. It was the most exciting thing I've ever done in my life. It's a small theater company that raises money for the elderly. I've been a part of the group ever since. Being a part of the group, it even led me to the first Broadway audition. It was for West Side Story. I was only 16 years old, so nothing really came out of it. But it was definitely an experience. As soon as I graduated high school in 2009, I moved to New York. I decided to live with my aunt so I can try and go to as many auditions as possible. Sadly, that didn't happen, but I did go to college. I went to Kingsborough Community College. My major was graphic design. But please, don't let that fool you. I can't draw to save my life. The reasoning for that major was because of my financial status. Although I lived in my aunt's house, she felt that I should be placed on welfare. It was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. They made me give up taking music as a major because they felt it wasn't practical. Can you imagine? Living in New York, where music is everywhere, but they didn't consider it a major. It held me back, but I knew from that experience it was only going to make me stronger, and it only wanted me to reach my goal even more. By the end of the second semester, I started singing, and I found someone that introduced me to the One World Symphony Opera Company. Although it's not the largest opera company in all of New York, it's still an opera company. I was a part of the ensemble. I actually sang mezzo, which was definitely the hardest thing I ever had to sing in my life, but it made me a better musician. While I lived in Brooklyn, it wasn't all bad. I got to spend a lot of time with my family, and I spent a lot of time with my little cousin Nikki, who actually inspired me to teach. Every day, she would ask me to sing Mary Poppins, Spoonful of Sugar, or from The Little Mermaid, Part of Your World. It was our routine. Every day she would make me sing it over 20 times, but each time it was like the first. I started teaching her solfege. We reached all the way to So, which is pretty good considering she's only 3 years old. I even introduced the hand signals to her, and she actually understood them. Because of her, I want to become a teacher. I know I inspired her, because each time I showed her something, her eyes would light up, and each time she hears a song, she calls my name. I know I made a difference in her life, and I want to do that for other children as well. That year was the hardest year I've ever gone through in my entire life. From it, I learned a lot about myself, and it made me even stronger than I ever thought I would be. Now, I attend Westminster Choir College of Rider University, and I'm making my dream come true. I'm learning all that I can so I can be a wonderful musician. not only to become better musicians, but to be a better person, and to share the joy of music with everyone and anyone that is willing to listen. And that's who I am, Christina Isabel Burgos.